The morning sunlight spilled across the bridal suite like a spotlight she hadn't asked for. The room smelled of roses and hairspray, laughter echoing from the bridesmaids as they took photos, unaware that the bride wasn't breathing right. Lily sat at the vanity, eyes fixed on her reflection, flawless makeup, soft curls, trembling lips. Her phone buzzed once. She almost ignored it. Almost. The message came from an unknown number. Asterisk, you should know before you say yes. Asterisk, a video followed. Her heart stuttered as she pressed play. The room blurred. Daniel, her fiancé, her almost husband, was kissing another woman in what looked like their hotel hallway. Same suit, same tie. Last night. The phone slipped from her hand, clattering against the marble counter. No one noticed. The music was too loud, the laughter too fake. She walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and sank to the floor, the white fabric of her gown pulling around her like a trap. For a long time, she didn't cry. She just listened to her own heartbeat, to the sound of distant violins playing from the next room. Finally, she whispered, "Not today." Her voice was calm, unfamiliar. Standing, she faced the mirror again. The woman staring back wasn't the broken fiancé she expected to see. She was something else, steady, cold, alive. Lily wiped her tears, fixed her lipstick, and smiled, not because she was okay, but because she was done pretending. The door knocked. "Lily, it's time." She opened it with the kind of grace only truth could give. "I'm ready," she said, and this time she meant it. The wedding bells rang in the distance, but to Lily they sounded like a warning. The gardens were beautiful white roses, silk ribbons swaying in the breeze, laughter bubbling from guests who had no idea what truth hid behind her calm smile. She walked slowly down the aisle, every step deliberate, her heart steady but heavy. Daniel stood waiting, handsome and polished. The same lips that had betrayed her now curved into a grin. "You look incredible," he whispered as she reached him. "You look exactly like someone who shouldn't have lied," she replied softly, her voice low enough that only he could hear. The officiant began the ceremony, words about love and faith echoing through the air. Lily barely listened. She studied the crowd, the faces that expected perfection, the people who believed in fairy tales. Her gaze lingered on her mother's proud smile, her best friend's tearful eyes. And then the moment came. "Do you, Lily, take Daniel to be your husband?" The world went still. She looked at Daniel, at the man she was supposed to trust, and felt nothing but freedom. "No," she said, clear, unwavering. Gasps rippled through the guests like wind through glass. Daniel blinked, laughing nervously. "What?" She took a breath. "I said no, because love without truth isn't love. It's performance." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, with a steady hand, she placed her bouquet on the table and turned to the stunned crowd. "But please," she said with a smile that bordered on defiant, "don't let this beautiful day go to waste. Eat, drink, dance. I'll join you." And she did. The band struck up again, hesitant at first, then stronger as she twirled across the dance floor. Veil flying, champagne glass raised high. People whispered, some judged, others cheered, but Lily laughed louder than all of them. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the perfect bride. She was the honest one. The party had turned into something out of a dream or maybe a rebellion. Lily's heels were gone, her veil abandoned on a chair, and her laughter filled the space where vows should have been. The guests were torn between shock and admiration. No one knew whether to console her or cheer. Daniel stood by the bar, frozen, a glass of whiskey untouched in his hand. Every time their eyes met, she smiled, not out of spite, but liberation. She twirled through the crowd, the lace of her gown glowing under the fairy lights. The DJ hesitated at first, but when she shouted, "Play something loud," the speakers came alive. One by one, guests joined her best friend first, then her cousins, then half the crowd who decided that maybe honesty was worth celebrating. Someone handed her a microphone. Her cheeks flushed as she raised it, voice bright and bold. I was supposed to promise forever today, she said. But forever doesn't mean much when it starts with lies. So here's my new promise to never shrink myself for anyone again. Cheers erupted, glasses clinked, and the music roared louder. Even the caterer was dancing. The night turned electric, filled with the kind of freedom that only truth can buy. When the last song faded, Lily stepped outside into the cool night air. Her heart pounded not from anger, not from heartbreak, but from something new, peace, behind her. The sounds of laughter and music echoed like applause for her courage. For the first time, she didn't care about how the story would be told because it was finally hers to tell. The night after the wedding felt unreal, like a dream she hadn't fully woken from. Lily sat by the hotel pool still wearing her dress, the hem damp, glittering with champagne and tears. Her phone buzzed endlessly missed calls, messages, headlines already circulating online. Runaway bride ruins perfect wedding. She laughed bitterly at the irony. She hadn't run. She'd stayed, faced everyone, and still managed to walk away stronger. A familiar voice pulled her from her thoughts. You really did it. Her best friend Mia approached, heels in hand, mascara smudged from crying and dancing. Lily smiled faintly. You mean I ruined a $50,000 wedding? Mia chuckled. No, I mean you saved yourself. They sat in silence for a while, feet dipped in the cool water. You scared everyone today, Mia said finally. But I've never been prouder of you, Lily leaned her head on her friend's shoulder, exhaustion washing over her. I thought I'd feel broken, she admitted. Instead, I just feel free. A pause, then Mia asked softly, what are you going to do now? Lily looked out at the city lights reflecting on the water, her reflection faint but real. I'm going to live like I said yes to myself this time. The words felt right, like a vow she actually meant. As the first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, Lily stood, her gown clinging to her legs, heavy but beautiful. She looked back at the hotel, at everything she was leaving behind, and whispered, goodbye. It wasn't bitter, it was peace. She walked barefoot into the morning, veil in hand, the sound of her own laughter following her like music. The days that followed felt strangely weightless. Lily moved out of the apartment she had shared with Daniel before the wedding, leaving behind only a note that said, don't call me. Find yourself instead. She rented a small place by the ocean, where the sound of waves replaced the noise of judgment. At first, the silence felt foreign, almost too big, but slowly it began to feel like peace. Each morning she walked along the shore, barefoot, letting the salt air wash away the remnants of the life she'd almost lived. One afternoon, she wandered into a small cafe by the water. The walls were covered in art paintings of women in motion, dancing, laughing, breaking free. The owner, a kind older woman named Evelyn, noticed her staring. You look like someone who just set herself free, she said. Lily smiled softly. Something like that. Evelyn tilted her head. You should come back tonight. We host open mic night songs, poems, stories. Real ones. That night, Lily did come back. The cafe glowed with soft yellow lights. People sipping coffee, their faces open and kind. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and stepped up to the microphone. My name is Lily, she began, her voice trembling at first. I said no at my own wedding. A murmur ran through the crowd. But she kept going. Because sometimes saying no is the most honest way to say yes to yourself. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Strangers stood, clapping, smiling, some even crying. For the first time, Lily realized her story wasn't shameful, it was powerful. Later, Evelyn hugged her and whispered, freedom looks good on you. And as Lily walked home under the streetlights, she smiled to herself, thinking, asterisk, it finally feels like mine does too. Asterisk. The next morning, the sun streamed through the curtains of Lily's small seaside apartment. She brewed coffee and scrolled through her phone, stunned to see hundreds of messages, some from strangers who had seen her open mic video online. You're brave. I wish I'd done what you You made me feel less alone. She smiled, tears burning her eyes. Her act of rebellion had become someone else's permission to heal. That same afternoon, Evelyn called. "You've started something," she said. "People are asking if you'll speak again." Lily hesitated. "I'm not a speaker. You're a survivor," Evelyn replied. So she did. Week after week, she returned to the cafe, telling her story in pieces about the lie, the no, the laughter that followed. Each time, it hurt a little less. Each time, she found more of herself. One evening, as she packed up her things, a man approached her tall, quiet, kind eyes. "Your story," he said. "It's strange how something so painful could make me feel hope." She blinked. "Why?" He smiled. "Because my fiancé left me a month before our wedding. I thought I'd never breathe again. Then I saw your video." They ended up walking along the shore until midnight, sharing stories of almost lives and second chances. When they reached her door, he said, "I'm Aaron, Lily," she replied. "I know," he said with a soft grin. "Everyone knows you now, for the first time." The fame didn't scare her, it felt earned. After he left, she stood by her window, watching the moonlight shimmer across the water. Her heart didn't ache for what she'd lost anymore. It fluttered for what she might find next. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was the possibility of it, honest and unhurried. And that, Lily thought, was enough for now. The days turned into weeks, and life began to bloom again slowly, softly, like a wound healing beneath sunlight. Lily spent most mornings by the ocean, sketching designs for a charity art show Evelyn had convinced her to help organize. The theme was asterisk rebirth through honesty. Asterisk, it felt fitting. Aaron started dropping by the cafe more often, always with 2 coffees and that quiet smile she was beginning to crave. Their friendship grew naturally, no rush, no expectations. One evening, as they set up the gallery space, Aaron asked, "Do you ever regret it?" Saying no. Lily paused, brush in hand. "Sometimes," she admitted. "Not because I wish I'd married him, but because of how messy it all became." People think strength means not feeling anything. But I felt everything, Aaron nodded. "That's what makes it real." Their eyes met, and for a fleeting second, she felt something stir, something gentler than love, but deeper than comfort. That night, after everyone left, she stood in front of her favorite painting, a woman standing barefoot in her wedding dress, looking out at the horizon. Beneath it, she'd written a single line, asterisk said no, and the world didn't end. Asterisk, it made her smile every time. The art show opened a week later. Crowds filled the gallery, moved by the rawness of her work. Some recognized her from the video, whispering as she passed, but this time she didn't shrink. She owned it. Near the end of the night, Aaron approached her with a small envelope. "Open it later," he said. When she finally did, she found a simple note inside. Asterisk, think the world began for you that day. Asterisk. Her hands trembled, and for the first time since the wedding, she cried not from pain, but from release. As she walked home beneath the streetlights, she realized something beautiful. Heartbreak hadn't destroyed her. It had rebuilt her. And maybe, just maybe, love wasn't gone. It was waiting patiently, honestly, until she was ready again. The following morning, Lily woke to the sound of rain tapping against the window. It felt peaceful, almost cleansing, like the world was finally slowing down enough to match her heart. She wrapped herself in a blanket and sat by the window, watching the gray waves crash along the shore. Her phone buzzed. It was Aaron. Asterisk, coffee? My treat. Asterisk, she smiled and typed back. Asterisk, only if it's strong. Asterisk, the cafe. He was already waiting, rain dripping from his jacket, 2 steaming cups between them. "You look lighter," he said as she sat down. "Maybe because I stopped carrying everything that wasn't mine," she replied. They talked for hours about the art show, about healing, about how endings can sometimes be the only way something real can begin. When the cafe emptied and the rain slowed to a mist, Aaron reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded photo. It was from her wedding day. Someone had taken it and posted it online. She frowned, but he turned it toward her. It was her, laughing on the dance floor, barefoot, spinning beneath the lights. "Everyone saw Scandal," he said. "I saw Freedom." The words hit her harder than she expected. For so long, that day had been her shame. Now, for the first time, it looked like strength. That evening, when she returned home, she placed the photo on her mirror. "You're not broken," she whispered to her reflection. "You're becoming." The next few days passed in quiet contentment. She painted, walked, met new people, no longer as the bride who said no, but as Lily, the woman who said yes to herself. One night, Aaron texted again. Asterisk, "The sunset looks unreal tonight. Come see it." Asterisk, she stepped outside, barefoot again, walking toward the glow at the end of the beach. And as the sky burned orange and gold, she realized she wasn't walking toward someone else this time. She was walking toward her own life. The next morning, Lily woke before sunrise. The sky was painted in soft pinks and golds, the kind of quiet beauty that only happens when the world is still half asleep. She wrapped herself in a sweater and stepped out onto the balcony, breathing in the salt air. Life felt fragile again, but not from fear, from possibility. Her phone buzzed with a message from Aaron. Asterisk, "Leaving town for a few weeks. I'll miss our talks." Asterisk, her heart sank slightly. Just as things had begun to feel steady, the universe was shifting again. She typed back, asterisk, "I'll miss them too. Take care." Asterisk, then, after a pause, she added, asterisk, "I'll be here when you get back." Asterisk, for the first time, she wasn't afraid of waiting, not for love, but for life to unfold at its own pace. That evening, she returned to the cafe to help Evelyn close. "You've changed," Evelyn said, wiping down a counter. "You walk like someone who finally knows where she's going." Lily smiled. "I don't know where, but I'm not lost anymore." They shared a quiet laugh, the kind born from mutual understanding. Later, at home, Lily began to paint again. Her brush moved with confidence, her strokes alive with color. She painted a woman standing on a shore, the tide rushing around her feet, her veil flying in the wind. The title came easily this time. Asterisk, "Freedom wears white." Asterisk, when she finished, she stepped back, heart full. It wasn't about Daniel. It wasn't even about Aaron. It was about her. The woman who said no and learned that sometimes saying no is the first true yes. As the paint dried, she whispered to herself, "I'm proud of you." And for the first time, she truly meant it. The night of the gallery's closing felt like a circle completing itself. Lily stood surrounded by the glow of her paintings, the hum of quiet conversations, and the soft murmur of music drifting from the speakers. The once broken bride was now the artist everyone wanted to meet. Reporters asked about her past, but she answered gently, "That story isn't about heartbreak anymore. It's about becoming." As the guests began to leave, Evelyn hugged her tightly. "You did it, Lily. You turned pain into light." Lily smiled. "No, I just stopped hiding from it." When the room finally emptied, she sat alone on the floor, the faint smell of paint and roses in the air. Her phone buzzed. A message from Aaron. Asterisk, "Back in town. Can I see your work tomorrow?" Asterisk, she typed back. Asterisk, "It's been waiting for you." Asterisk, the next day. He arrived quietly, hands in pockets, eyes soft with something unspoken. They walked through the gallery in silence until he stopped in front of Freedom Wears White. He stared at it for a long time, then whispered, "It's everything you are." Lily looked at him, her eyes shining. "And everything I had to lose to find myself." He nodded. And in that moment, there was no grand confession, no dramatic kiss, just peace. When he left, she stayed behind, gazing at her own reflection in the glass frame. For the first time, she didn't see the girl who said no, or the woman who was betrayed. She saw herself whole, brave, unbroken. That evening, she walked along the shore in her white dress, not as a bride, but as a woman reborn. The sunset turned the sky to fire, and she whispered into the wind, "Thank you for leaving me," because in losing everything she thought she needed, she had found everything she truly was. If Lily's story moved you, remember this: sometimes saying no isn't rejection, it's redemption. When you choose honesty over perfection, you don't lose love, you find yourself. If you believe that strength comes from truth, hit the like button and share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Tell me in the comments, would you have had the courage to say no at the altar? And don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic stories about love, healing, and the beauty of starting over. Because sometimes walking away is the most beautiful way to arrive.